We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time. Imagine reading those exact words underneath a grainy, black and white photograph in a dark room, lit by absolutely nothing but the cold glow of your computer monitor. It genuinely sounds like a relic pulled straight from a forgotten, dusty police file, doesn't it? But this eerie caption, posted on an internet forum way back in 2009, actually birthed a very real, modern monster. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are dissecting a digital nightmare. Okay, let's just dive right into this, because we are completely dissecting the legend of the Slenderman today. We're going to trace exactly how a simple, seemingly harmless Photoshop contest mutated into a massive, terrifying digital myth, and, tragically, how it became a catalyst for real-world violence. This is essentially a story about the raw power of the internet, the actual anatomy of fear, and what exactly happens when a collective nightmare manages to escape the screen.
So here's our roadmap for the explainer. First, we'll look at how a modern monster is born. Second, we'll break down the engine of viral fear. Third, we'll explore expanding the Slender mythos. Fourth, we'll have to discuss when fiction bleeds into reality. And finally, we'll wrap up with the copyright of nightmares.
All right, part 1. A modern monster is born. Let's start right at the very beginning. June 2009. The internet was, a slightly different place back then, and a massive spark was about to ignite in a seemingly innocuous corner of the web. At first glance, the image you're looking at seems entirely mundane. On June 10, 2009, on the Something Awful web forums, a user who went by the name Victor Surge, his real name is Eric Knudsen, responded to a thread asking users to create paranormal images. So he posted this picture, supposedly from a 1986 Sterling City library blaze. He claimed it was taken the exact day 14 children vanished. Now, look closely at the background. Looming right behind those kids playing on the slide is a tall, faceless, impossibly thin figure in a dark suit with these bizarre tentacle-like appendages. The horror here isn't splashy, it's not bloody, it's tense. It's the eerie realism and the totally plausible, everyday playground setting that makes this faceless watcher so deeply, deeply unsettling.
Now, to really understand how this single image caught fire and spread, we have to understand the ecosystem it was born into. We're talking about creepypasta. Derived from the old term copypasta, which was just text copied and pasted across forums, creepypasta is essentially digital folklore. Think of them as internet ghost stories told around the glowing digital campfires of a computer screen. They rely heavily on the illusion of plausibility. They use found evidence, like fake dates, missing photographers, and fragmented origins, all designed to elicit genuine paranoia. The whole goal is to leave you, the reader, wondering, wait a second, is this actually real?
And the community brilliantly muddied the waters of reality to sell this illusion. Other users didn't just passively look at Victor Surge's image, they actively built a fake history for it. Take this image, for example. This is Der Rischer, or the Knight, and it was presented to the internet as a real 16th century German woodcut, but it was doctored to include a skeletal, multi-armed figure battling a knight. By pitching a creature they called Der Grossmann, the tall man, as an ancient historical precursor to Slenderman, the community deliberately blurred the lines of fiction. They actually convinced a lot of casual scrollers that Slenderman was a centuries-old demon and not just some fresh internet invention. Moving on to part 2, the engine of viral fear. How exactly does a monster like this grow to such massive proportions without a single author actually directing the story? Well, it requires a very unique kind of collaborative machinery. This brings us to some really fascinating academic research. Professor Kathy Smith of the University of Miami School of Law actually analyzed the genesis of this myth. As her research highlights, community praise played an absolutely crucial role here. When Victor Surge posted his first images, the instant social reward was intoxicating. Users replied with comments like, "Lost it, this is going to give me nightmares," and "You are an amazing and terrible bastard, sir, well played." This immediate social esteem, this completely non-financial reward system, is what motivated creators to just keep building the myth together. It was a literal digital feedback loop of terror. So the crucial takeaway here is that this became an exercise in open source horror. It operated exactly like this. Someone would propose an idea. Then the community would debate it. Terrible ideas were quickly rejected or revised, and finally, a rough consensus was reached. For example, there was this intense, continuous negotiation over whether Slenderman should even have tentacles coming out of his back, and if so, how prominent they should be. They even debated what kind of settings he should appear in. Was it creepier to place him in sunny, happy daytime scenes, or dark, ominous ones? It was literal folklore being written in real time by a massive hive mind. Which leads us to part 3,
expanding the Slender mythos, because as the lore solidified, it completely outgrew static images on a forum. It was time for transmedia expansion, jumping into dynamic, fully interactive nightmares.
Mere days after those original images circulated back in 2009, a YouTube channel launched a found footage series called Marble Hornets. It followed a man named Jay, who was reviewing his missing friend's film project, only to realize they were being stalked by an entity they referred to as the Operator. Now, this series was monumental because it completely codified the lore. It introduced Slender sickness, which was the idea that mere proximity to the creature causes violent coughing fits, intense paranoia, hallucinations, severe nausea, and memory loss. It also established that terrifying trope that the monster causes digital static and camera malfunctions whenever he gets near.
And this next jump brilliantly illustrates the leap from passive viewing to active terror. In 2012, an indie video game called Slender, The 8 Pages dropped online. It placed you, the player, directly in a dark, foggy forest, armed with nothing but a weak flashlight that could run out of batteries at any time. The objective was so simple: collect 8 pages before the faceless man in the suit catches you. Oh, and simply looking at him drained your sanity. This game absolutely dominated YouTube. Millions and millions of people watched Let's Play and reaction videos, which completely transformed the Slenderman from a solitary reading experience into a shared, visceral panic attack. What's wild is how this intense community participation acts as a brutal digital filter. As noted in academic tests analyzing collaborative creativity, in a decentralized project like this, terrible suggestions could easily bury a good idea in a giant trash heap of dead ends. But the community filtered out all the weak horror. They preserved only what genuinely frightened them, effectively refining Slenderman into a highly efficient, terrifying mimetic predator. We are now at part 4. Fiction bleeds into reality. Up until this point, we've been discussing a fascinating internet phenomenon, but we must now shift our focus entirely. We are going to look objectively at the deeply tragic moments when this digital fiction crossed a horrific line into reality. This timeline traces the rapid, unsettling evolution from a completely harmless internet Photoshop contest in 2009 to severe real-world violence. Just 5 years after his creation, the Slenderman mythos stepped out of the monitors and into the physical world with absolutely devastating consequences. This primarily impacted vulnerable youths who simply couldn't separate the complex internet folklore from reality. On May 31, 2014, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, 2 12-year-old girls lured a third friend into a wooded area. Tragically, they stabbed their friend 19 times. Miraculously, the victim did survive. When authorities investigated, the perpetrators claimed they committed this horrific act to prove their loyalty to the Slenderman. They truly believed he lived in a mansion in a nearby national forest, and they felt they needed to kill to become his proxies, or servants, in order to protect their own families from his wrath. The subsequent trial revealed the devastating role of untreated mental illness deeply intertwining with internet folklore. Psychiatric findings indicated that one of the attackers, Morgan Geyser, suffered from early-onset schizophrenia. She was experiencing genuine hallucinations and delusions. The ubiquitous, extremely plausible nature of the creepypasta, the fake documents, the found footage, it all tragically reinforced her very real psychological struggles. It convinced her that the monster was entirely real and that he was demanding a sacrifice. And the Waukesha case was sadly not an isolated incident of the myth deeply embedding itself in vulnerable minds. In September 2014, a 14-year-old girl in Port Richey, Florida, set her family's home on fire using bleach and rum-soaked linens. Investigators reported she was fixated on the entity. The chilling drawing you see here was made by the teenager. It shows the faceless figure with its blue tentacles, demonstrating exactly how deeply the open-source imagery had infected her mindscape. Even more heartbreaking was a massive crisis on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. In late 2014 and early 2015, the reservation suffered a cluster of 9 youth suicides and over 100 attempts. Officials noted that at least one, and likely more, of the youths were heavily influenced by the Slenderman myth. In a deeply tragic cultural synthesis, the internet creature merged with a pre-existing local belief in a suicide spirit known as Walking Sam or the Tall Man. The bleak reality of extreme poverty and a severe lack of mental health resources created a void that this terrifying digital figure unfortunately filled. Part 5. The Copyright of Nightmares.
Following these profound and very real tragedies, the cultural footprint of Slenderman changed forever. Let's pivot back to an analytical view now, to examine the unprecedented legal and commercial mess created by a monster that was built by a crowd.
As legal scholars love to point out, Slenderman is an absolute nightmare for traditional copyright law. Think about it. Traditional copyright relies on a sole creator, crystal clear ownership, and centralized control. But Slenderman is digital folklore. He was born from a decentralized community, reaching a consensus through literally thousands of derivative works, fan art, and stories. So while Eric Knudsen created the initial image, the actual lore, the static, the proxies, the sickness, all of that was invented by thousands of other people. So how in the world do you license a myth that everyone and no one actually owns?
Well, Hollywood found out the hard way that you cannot easily package internet folklore. In 2018, a major studio released a Slenderman movie, and it was a total disaster. First off, it arrived nearly a decade after the trend actually peaked. Second, theaters in Wisconsin boycotted it entirely out of respect for the Waukesha victim. But critically, it failed because it stripped away the collaborative, mysterious elements that made the internet version so scary in the first place. Critics completely panned it as a boring, unoriginal slasher that just entirely missed the psychological, user-generated magic of the original creepypasta.
So, stepping back, why did Slenderman work so incredibly well in the first place? It's because he perfectly embodies our modern anxieties. Unlike the hairy beasts of the woods from old, traditional folklore, Slenderman wears a sharp black suit. He is urbane, he is bureaucratic, and he is faceless. He represents the very real fear of faceless authority, of corporate power that doesn't care about you, and of the vast, unknown, and potentially highly dangerous corners of the digital world. Ultimately, he is the monster we built to represent the internet itself.
Which leaves us with a deeply unsettling thought to end on. Slenderman was created with basic Photoshop tools and forum text, and yet, he still managed to blur the lines of reality enough to cause actual, real-world bloodshed. As we step further into an era of deepfakes, hyper-realistic AI generation, and augmented reality that can literally project entities right into our living rooms, if a simple internet forum gave birth to Slenderman, what nightmares are we going to collectively generate next? Let that sink in the next time you're scrolling in the dark. Stay curious, and please, stay safe.